Welcome back to the Boy Time channel. Today, reaction recap number 13. Lucky number 13. If you don't know what these are our kind of recaps of the last 10 or so albums we've reacted to on the channel. We're going to get our updated thoughts, opinions, other random commentary that we feel like adding here. And at the end, you will get a sneak peek of what we're doing next. And we'll show you all of our lists and wheels and things. And if you have any suggestions, you can put them on this video. I've been including some on my wheel. I'll probably put some more on there, so that should be updated at the end of this video.
Yes.
But yeah, I think that's all the preliminary things we need to go over.
Absolutely.
We got a good batch today.
We do. I feel like the last two have been maybe some of our best.
I would say.
Where it's just consistent bangers. I don't know if we have a miss on this run. But as always, or not as always, but as something we've started to do recently, the last album that we reacted to will not be in this retrospective. That will be in the next one because thoughts aren't probably going to change very much in a week. But that means that we are going to be talking first about Crying, Laughing, Loving, Lying by Labi Siffre.
Real. This is fantastic. I'm so glad it's like starting to be fall now too, because I feel like this is going to get a lot more rotation. But this was like, I don't want to say unexpectedly good. I think it was unexpectedly like really forward thinking and diverse.
Yes.
The amount of styles on here is just phenomenal. I love just like the classic kind of 70s style folk acoustic sound that it has. Vocals are incredible. I know Canuck Chase is fantastic. Blue Lady is probably my favorite. That song is crazy. I don't know. This record is just incredibly like it covers some heavy themes at times, but like it is incredibly just like feel good. It has a classic feel to it that I just really love getting with some of these folk records. And I think it's still underrated.
Yeah.
I don't think enough people know about this. But yeah, it's pretty fantastic. I don't know if I have like a whole lot to say about it, but I've definitely been jamming a couple songs. Yeah, Canuck Chase, Blue Lady, My Song, of course, the one everybody knows. Fool Me a Good Night is a good one too. But I gave this one a 90. I think it is fantastic.
Oh, wow. That's very high. I don't know if my thoughts have changed a whole lot. Of course, this is one that I listened to before the reaction that we did. I think my thing was like, am I being weird? Like, is it really this good? I need to bring it to the table and discuss. And it turns out, yes, it is very, very good. I don't know if I would go so far as to give it a 90, but I have a lot of respect for Labi Siffre. I think I'm really glad that he was an open gay man, and he's just a bold and creative person. So I'm very glad we had the opportunity to talk about him on the channel. Maybe we'll do some more. I don't know. I've heard good things about The Singer and the Song, which is the album that came out right before this. So who knows? Maybe someday we'll talk about it.
Yes,
But yeah, on to the first of many new releases that we did this cycle. We're going to be talking about Charm by Clairo.
Yeah, the summer was packed for new releases.
Yes.
It's not slowing down.
No.
Charm is pretty great. I have gotten a lot of play out of this, like especially like specific songs. I'm still like teetering between like I feel like Charm and Sling are like perfectly dead even in my eyes, and that they're both fantastic because I've been listening to Sling a lot too. And that album is just gorgeous.
Yes.
But I do really love the blending of styles because I feel like this is like an updated, a little bit more accessible version of Sling, I would say. A little bit more like bright, because Sling is, I think, a Dead of Winter album that is very reserved and it's pretty, but like it's very subtle. But this one has just like such a range of like, I mean, even just the initial run of Nomad, Sexy to Someone, and Second Nature is just a great variety of things.
Yes.
I think since that video, I've definitely converted to like Juna being the best song by like a little bit of a margin. The song's just, she put crack in this thing. I don't know. It's so good. Even the little mouth trumpet thing at the end is just fantastic. I don't know. She just feels so confident in her lane and on these last two records. And I think that's something that just is, I don't know, it draws me in a lot to her music. So yeah, this thing is fantastic. I've loved seeing all the edits of people like taking Griselda songs and putting like the instrumentals of this album as like the instrumental, because it does work. There's this weird fusion of hip hop drums and like old pianos and bass and clarinet and all these different things. But yeah, this one's great. One of the best releases of the year. I think it grew on me a little bit since the reaction, actually, and we were pretty stunned in that
Yeah,
reaction. But yeah, I think in 89 for this one. I think it's really great.
Yes, I think that's fair. Yeah, I think surprisingly, I think this one kind of got overshadowed for me, just because, like I said, this cycle has been insane. So like right after this, I guess I don't know, it's not a spoiler, but we did like 22 a million and Smile. And like those kind of like completely took over for me. Like I was obsessed with those albums for a long time. So like I listened to Charm for like a week and then I started doing other stuff. But I've recently gone back and I'm like, why wasn't I listening to this way sooner? Because this is like right up my alley. I think my favorite song is Terrapin. I don't know if that's an unpopular opinion.
That's like my top 3 still.
That I love that song. Very, very, very beautiful. I guess you could say that about this entire album. But I just love the experimentation that she's doing here. Where yes, feels very much like a Clairo album, but like she's doing all sorts of styles on here. In very subtle ways. This is not an SOS by SZA.
No.
But there's like incorporations of, like you said, like hip hop and bedroom pop, and then there's like some doo-wop sections. Like it's like all over the place, and I think it's pretty much successful the whole way through. So I really don't have anything negative to say about Charm by Clairo. So big win for me. But like I said, the next album is 22 a million. I don't know if your thoughts are going to change very much.
No. Yeah, I think it is still my favorite Bon Iver album on paper. It's weird because I rate For Emma higher than this album because I think it is more put together, but I think this is my personal favorite of the 4. And yeah, I think it's phenomenal. I love the blending of electronics and acoustics in a way that feels really unpretentious. It just feels very natural to his style still, in a way that I kind of doesn't, which you'll see in our reaction to that video.
Yes.
So I think this is kind of the perfect blend of all of his styles, and I have a lot of history with this record. I think it has grown and aged beautifully as well. I think I kind of underrated all of his albums at the beginning of this discography deep dive, just because like I feel like I haven't really dug into him in a while, and I'm like, okay, is it as good as I remember it being? And it is kind of still at that level. So
yeah, it is.
Fantastic. Stratford Apartments is still like one of my favorite songs ever. It's just absolutely gorgeous. So yeah, 93 on this one. Could
That's
go
fair.
up still. I feel like it's fair to put it at 93. I still have a little bit of issues with, like, I don't know, the pacing on it seems a little bit off, but
Sure.
Other than that, everything else is just fantastic about it.
Yeah, I would agree. I think I brought it up when we did II, but this is my favorite album of his. And I think when it comes to like the pacing issues and stuff like that, I really like flawed experiences like this. Like I think that something like this is far more interesting to me than like a For Emma, even though that For Emma is by all accounts a masterpiece and maybe his best work. But for me, just the variations here, I love the experimentation. It got weird and I love it. So like, again, like nothing negative to say about this album at all. Yeah, I know we talked about him last time because we did For Emma and Bon Iver. But yeah, he is like slowly becoming like maybe one of my favorite folk artists, which is very exciting that he's back. Yes, kind of.
There's got to be more than 3 songs. That's all I'm saying. This has to lead into something bigger, but it's also Justin Vernon, so we have no idea how he's going to work. But
that's true. But
all I'm saying is every time we do this, the artist comes back. So you can thank us for this.
This is true. If only there was another Kendrick album that we could react to. And then
we could do Section 80, but that's the only one. So.
But I've heard that one. I think we both heard it.
You could do like overly dedicated or like.
Okay, I've not heard that one. So I don't know, maybe, but I have a feeling it's not worth it. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So very, very nice. Next up, Smile by Porter Robinson.
Every time there's one that gets snubbed, this was the snub for me. It just
That's
happens.
sad.
Some things get pushed out because we do a lot of stuff. I don't think I was in the right headspace for this album.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think I was at a point in my life where I'm like, I need to put on Smile right now. So I will probably loop back to this and try to give it like my full attention again. I just didn't have time to do that this week. But the stuff that I really like about this are the more nurtured, like kind of leaning tracks still.
Sure.
But I think Cheerleader is fantastic. Russian Roulette is amazing. Is There Really No Happiness might be my favorite. I don't know. That song is just really, really good.
Yes.
It's really depressing, but it's really good. I think the outro is also like a really, really nice way to end this thing. But I do love the kind of upbeat nature of the record, but it's also incredibly introspective, and it tackles like a subject matter that couldn't really be talked about much until like this year or something like that. Just because it is so like now specific of parasocial relationships and just crazy fan bases and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's a really interesting thing to tackle, and I think you did it really well. I just don't feel too drawn to all these. I feel like Kitsune Mason Freestyle I don't really return to. I'm not a big fan of that one. Mona Lisa is okay. Year of the Cup is a really cool song, but like the replayability on it is not too big because it kind of sounds like a interlude because there's a whole bunch of vocal snippets and weird structure things to it. It's a really cool song, but it's not one I just put on randomly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do need to return this thing and like really get into it again. I'll do that before the end of the year, obviously. But I'm feeling an 85 on it. I think it's still really great. I just have not gotten all of it that I'm supposed to out of it yet. So
Yes.
but very good.
I have an unpopular opinion. I think this might be my favorite album in this cycle.
Respect.
I kind of feel weird saying that because like we did Seven Swans and Punisher and even Tallahassee. Like those should be things that I should like more. And the fun, quirky rock electric album, I should be like, this is weird. I don't like this. But for some reason, it works. I think Everything to Me might be my song of the year right now. I love that song. I catch myself like just having that like little last verse before the last chorus. That part just plays in my head all the time. And I don't know. I really like Mona Lisa. I don't know. I just love the energy of it, especially that end when like he's just kind of screaming and then they're playing the chorus over it. I just love that part. But I will agree, I do not like Kitsune whatever freestyle.
Yeah.
And I don't really like Year of the Cup. But like aside from that, I really, really like this thing. And Perfect Pinterest Garden has grown on me like no song has. I have no idea why.
One of those that creeps up on you, and there's no particular reason for it.
No, it's just so catchy. I love it. So yeah, I don't know. This cycle's insane. I like love pretty much every album on here. So yeah, we'll move on. JPEG Mafia, I Lay Down My Life for You.
Okay, I might have the most to say about this one. This might be a longer section.
Okay.
I'm very conflicted on this record because I feel like I'm not getting it. Because a lot of people think this is Peggy's best or like top 2.
What?
I would put this like 4th or 5th. I really love some of the instrumental moments, and I think there's a lot of great production styles and energy on this thing. I think lyrically just holds this thing back big time. Maybe that's just because I've been listening to Peggy hardcore since 2019, and I think I might be growing out or getting sick of the I'm different and you don't understand me, and I'm gonna like just find different ways to like trash talk and boast across another record with a different instrumental palette, and then get like really kind of introspective near the end. I think the last 4-track run on here is like perfect. those are the tracks I go back to the most on this. But I feel like it's fine to like be boastful and stuff like in your lyrics. I think Scaring the Hose, he did a fantastic job of that because he was witty, he was funny, he brought a fantastic energy, and he was genuinely rapping really, really, really well and keeping up with Danny Brown, even on like wordplay levels, which is a hard thing to do. I think every other record, besides maybe Veteran, has better writing than this. It feels like the lyrics weren't as much of like a thought on this record as compared to his last ones, and I think that's the main reason it's holding me back, because I understand with the concept of the album that like it is about like trying to reinvent yourself a little bit and go back from those bad habits, but like when it's that much of this kind of like arrogance and bitterness on the front half of the record, it gets kind of painful to listen to, because it gets a little overbearing. But with that being said, there are fantastic songs on this thing. New Black History with Vince Staples is incredible. Sin Mido is incredible. Ex-Military is fantastic. Either on or Off the Drugs is probably the best one on here. Best use of AI I've ever heard in music, and probably the best use of AI there will be in music. That sample is just phenomenal. I don't know how he did that, but I found the original video of it too, and it only had like 18,000 plays. So it's like, how did you even find this to take it? But yeah, it's still an impressive record. I just feel like for me, I did not have a connection to it like I have any other Peggy record, and I feel like there was some shortcuts taken in terms of like lyrical stuff. But again, if you're someone who's newer to Peggy, this thing probably sounds like one of the best things you've heard. But for me, I prefer his melodic stuff too, overall.
You're a cornball,
he does really nice stuff with that. Exactly. I'm a cornball. But so I gave this an 88. I think this is my only Peggy record not in the 90s.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I will say, because I think I even brought this up in the video, where it's like, when it comes to Peggy, I don't really listen to his stuff regularly. The exception to that was Scaring the Hose, because that record just has
so good.
An infectious energy. You got so much charisma on both sides and great lyricism. But here, I think I think I have the same problem. It was front loaded with too much like animosity and like anger, which I mean, like we get that a little bit with him in the past, but like it's just like too much. And then when it does,
felt like insecurity this time instead of genuine like
confidence. It was like he was on the defense rather than the offense.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I didn't really vibe with the most. And then especially, I think New Black History is like, I think that it's the best song. And Vince Staples just washes him on it. And I think I need to like listen to Vince Staples.
Listen to his album that came out this year. I think you'd really like it.
I'm sure I would, because like, I think I tried listening to his self-titled, because you were going on about how that one was like your favorite album.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, this is what he was going on about. And I haven't really listened to any of his stuff since. So maybe I'll check out his new one. But yeah, I don't know. Same kind of spot where you're in, I think, for me. It's all right. Pretty good.
But it's not my favorite.
Correct. All right. We're going from an album that has a cross on it to a Christian album. Seven Swans by Sufjan Stevens. Quadruple S.
This grew on me a lot, actually.
Yeah, you were kind of mixed on it.
I was mixed on it because it's very buried in its religion in the lyrical content.
Sure.
I think this is one of the only albums where like my first reaction was maybe my like least favorite reaction, because when I listened to this thing on like record or just on it without listening to lyrics or trying to dig into it, I liked it so much more. And it's weird for me to be like, I'm not like digging into the lyrics or the concept on this record, but the way I'm taking this record is just like a folk record by Sufjan, with a lot of religious themes, but like you can apply it to some other things. And I think it sounds a lot better to me that way, when I wasn't trying to like analyze what was going on, and I won't be able to because I don't have an interest in digging into like that kind of religious imagery stuff, at least in this case. But it sounds really great. He just has that thing where he just knows his way around an acoustic song no matter what. And The Devil's Territory has just been stuck with me for like since we've done that reaction. I love the way that sounds with kind of that waltzy feeling to it.
Yeah.
Abraham as well is phenomenal. I love the guitars on that one. The title track's great. Transfiguration with the Chicago outro is just fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a really great record. I just feel like this hits for me harder when I'm passively enjoying it and not analyzing or really looking into it,
I could
which
see
I think is
that.
fine. But that's usually not the way I view music, so it's like kind of a weird thing for me to get into there.
Sure.
Yeah, I think it's great. Solid Sufjan one that shouldn't be missed. It's not my favorite of his, of course,
No.
but it is very solid. So 88 on this guy.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I really liked this thing right off the bat, and I've been listening to it pretty consistently since. I will say, I don't know. I think the middle kind of slumps for me, or maybe like middle to the end. I like a size too small, but then kind of the 3-track run there from We Won't Need
Yeah.
Legs to Stand, Good Man, Hard to Find, and He Woke Me Up Again gets a little bit preachy, which I know is the point, but like, I don't know. When I go to a Sufjan record, I like that a lot of his stuff can be interpreted a lot of different ways, whereas this one is more or less explicitly about religion. Which, I mean, I haven't listened to his Christmas album. I'm assuming that's more of the same. But yeah, I think the first like 4-track run, I'll do 5 tracks. I really like Abraham too. I think that's like near flawless, and then the Transfiguration is fantastic. A great blueprint. I actually like it more than Chicago, but that's because
Okay.
Chicago might be my least favorite song on Illinois.
Really?
Yeah. I don't like it.
Interesting.
I mean, I don't dislike it. It's just like everything else is that high for me that it's like, it's the hit, and it feels like the hit. Where I would rather listen to Palisades or even something like John Wayne Gacy Jr.,
Jacksonville.
which is your favorite Sufjan song, apparently.
Ever. Top 10.
Okay. But yeah, I love the Transfiguration. I love the like stripped back version of Chicago. I mean, we can't say that. Chicago is the more grand version of this, but yeah, I don't know.
Still pretty intense though, which is interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, and I love the choral outro. Very, very, very good. Overall, I don't know. I think that this record does kind of rank low for Sufjan for me, but again, that's because he's released some of my favorite albums of all time.
Yes.
But again, you shouldn't miss on it. You shouldn't skip it because there's a lot
I
of
would
good
say
stuff
it's an
on it.
essential Sufjan album.
I would say so, yeah. Yeah, it's not like some random instrumental album that you can like, you know, you don't need to listen to.
You don't need to do All Delighted People, but you should do this one.
Sure. You should listen to All Delighted People too.
It's
'cause
good,
It's good,
yes, but I feel like this one is more important.
it's better than So Seven Swans is better than All Delighted People. Even though I
We
love
need to do Age of
Jahara
Ads
Jaharia.
next. So
It's on my list. We will do it. We'll do that, and then we need to do Michigan. And then I feel like we've
Yes.
covered our bases.
unless you want to do the Ascension, which depending on how you feel on Age of Ads, we'll go from there.
Okay. That's the one that nobody talks about.
Nobody talks about that. There's
Yeah.
2 like really, really, really good songs on it, and then the rest are okay.
Oh, that's sad. And it's 15 songs. That's an hour and 20.
It's a long album. Yeah.
I don't think we're gonna do that, actually. I might listen to it, but I don't think that really anyone
Just listen
would
to
care.
America. That's all you need.
That's it?
Yeah.
Okay. That's the last. Oh, yeah, it's 12 and a half minutes. Of course you recommend that one.
It's the best one. Oh.
Duh. But we'll move on. Flight Beef 741 by King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard.
Yes, sir. I feel like I don't have a lot to say about this album because it is so much what it is. It just rips,
Sure.
and that is its one quality, and it does it really well. Yeah, I think this is just a really feel-good record. It scratches an itch that it's like extremely accessible. It's really well made. You can tell they had a lot of fun doing it. There's still a decent amount of range on here, and I think the mixing with just how thick they got these guitars is just really satisfying to me. I think Hog Calling Contest is just a fantastic song. It is just so energetic and moving.
Yes.
Mirage City is really fun. Raw Feel as well is just really, really nice. I really like that one. If anything, I feel like Sad Pilot and Rats in the Sky, like, it was a little bit of it kind of dulled down a little bit, but then they brought it back with Daily Blues.
Yeah.
But it's a really fun record. There's not too much to say about it. It's just like, if you're into kind of like boogie rock or some kind of like blues, kind of more old school kind of hard rock, you'll get a lot out of this. It's not reinventing the wheel, but I feel like they're still putting their authentic spin on this genre that has been really overplayed and kind of oversaturated in its time.
Sure.
So in a way, calling back to that, but adding a little bit of new ideas just makes it feel, it's like, I'm like ironically like, hell yeah, brother, about this album, but it does go really hard and I enjoy it. And it's fun to just kind of be in that mode for this record. So yeah, not their best, but like at the same time, I think you should definitely listen to this one to get into the band, because I think it does express their kind of like motive in making music, because it is a lot of fun. So
yeah,
I think 86 on this guy. Good.
Yeah, this one's really, really, really good. Again, it was one that kind of got buried for me, but I've been going back to it the last couple of weeks, and I'm like in love with this thing. This thing is so fun. This might be like my favorite fun Giz album since like Fishing for Fishies.
Yes.
I think I like it more than Butterfly 3000, and I definitely like it more than Changes. So there's like 2 good songs on Changes, I think.
Would agree.
I really like the first song, and I like Hate Dancing.
A lot of people love that album. I just can't get it.
I don't really get it either. But what I will say is I think Le Risque, the single, might be my least favorite song on here. I really like everything surrounding it, like Mirage City, like you said, Daily Blues is phenomenal. And again, Hog Calling Contest. That song is infectious and it's electric and I love it. So yeah, I don't know. You got to check this one out. This one's great. So
show it to your dad.
Your dad would probably love it. If your dad likes Leonard Skinner or Black Betty by Ram Jam, then he'll love this album. That's all I'll say. All right, we're going in a complete 180. Tallahassee by the Mountain Goats.
What a fun album. Yeah. This thing's great.
Yes.
I haven't listened to it too much since then, because I feel like this is one where I do have to like do the whole album. There's a couple songs where I've been listening to like outside of the context.
Sure.
But I think as a concept album, it is really tight and works really well. I know some people are like, this sounds really bland and like spacious, and I'm like, I really enjoy that. Like, it is stripped back, it is skeletal, it leaves room for the vocals to just shine through, and the guitar parts on it are really fantastic. I think people overlook how hard it could be to like have this kind of driving melody on your guitar to like carry a folk song. Because if you get that right amount of like, if you hit those chords right and you do a certain progression, it is just infectious and it sticks with you. And this record has it over and over and over again, and it's really great. Yeah. Peacocks is fantastic. What are the other ones? Game Shows is one of my favorites. First Few Desperate Hours is really great as well. And then there was one more. International Small Arms Traffic Blues.
I love that song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something about it. But this is a really great record. I definitely am interested to see, like, I think this is one of their most highly rated ones. I'm interested to see if they have anything else, because I'd love to hear something that isn't so concept driven. So we can probably do All Hail West Texas or something eventually.
Okay.
Or I mean, Sunset Tree. Sunset Tree might be fun. I think that has some different producer on it. Yeah, John Vanderslice is on that one, so I'd be interested to check that out.
Okay.
But yeah, very, very good record. What did I give this? I think it's an 88 along with the rest of everything else. Yeah, it is. 88 is the common number today.
That's fair. This album has been my absolute jam since we listened to it, which I think is surprising to me, because I think in my head, I'm like, well, it's just kind of the same thing over and over again. It's a guy with a guitar for most of it. But man, the lyrics are great. Like you said, the guitar is like slept on. It's like arranged so well. And like the mixing on it is great too. It doesn't ever get boring. And like I really love maybe like the first 4-track run, Tallahassee to Game Shows, phenomenal. No Children obviously is fantastic. And yeah, I think my favorite song is International Small Arms Traffic Blues. It's such a mouthful. But man, I just love it. It's so like simple. It's kind of like a corny love ballad, but the opposite.
Yeah.
And I love how specific it gets. It has that like System of a Down effect where it's like those songs are like so specific where they're like bringing up statistics where it's like my love is like the border between Greece and Albania. And it's like who would ever write that for a song? Who would ever write that for a poem in general? But I think it really works. Yeah, I think it's great. Which is why I'm definitely interested to see what else they've got going. I might add some to my list. But yeah, very, very impressed. We had 2 semi-yikes on this batch, and both of them were phenomenal. So don't know how that happened.
Our wheels don't mean anything anymore.
I know. I thought that you wouldn't like them, but it turns out that you really like Gloppy Sifri, but yeah. Which I think was shocking to me. But we'll move on. We have Mount Erie by the Microphones.
Ugh. That's my summation of this record.
That's fair.
This was a very tough first listen, just because it was wildly different than anything I've heard from the rest of his entire discography. And it's one long song, and it is an extremely concept-driven record.
Yes.
So all of those work against us in this format, but it's phenomenal. I've gone back to it a lot. It's weird because there's a lot of moments on this record that I wouldn't consider like musical or catchy, but have just been stuck in my head since we've been doing this. I've had some times where I've like really sat down with this thing and just let it kind of do its thing. And it really just opens up, and as you grasp the concept more, the weirdness of the record wears off and it feels more natural, like the weird booming voices that come in and just like the stopping on a dime to do this weird breakbeat pattern in the middle of a song, the flushes of white noise that just blow your ears out. All of it starts to make a little bit more sense, and it just becomes this like near perfect just experience of a record. Solar System is probably my favorite out of these because I don't know, that song is just incredible. The way the white noise fades and you just have this really fantastic like guitar-led folk song is just, it hits every single mark in my head about like what I want from a folk song. But even something like Universe, the way those voices and the choir just elevates, and just like you see him in this concept of dying and lifting up to the cosmos, and you just have these gorgeous voices. It feels epic. It's a really phenomenal record. I'll talk a lot more about this in my deep dive video, but this has grown on me, and it's weird because I still find it to be the 3rd best Microphones album, but it's a 97.
Wow, 3rd best, and it's a 97. Okay.
The other 2 are 100s. So
okay, well that makes sense.
About this.
Okay. Yeah, so this is probably the smile for you, where it's like this is the snub. I feel like that's pretty obvious. I think I even said in the album, or in the reaction, where I'm like, his stuff, it's great, but I am like never ever going to listen to any of his stuff again of my own accord.
You have to be ready for it to hit you, otherwise it's not going to do anything.
Right. Yeah, and it's just like, it's so intimidating, and I feel like I have to read a 30-page novella just to understand what's going on. I think that my favorite thing by him is Crow Looked at Me, obviously, but I don't know. This one is like really theatrical and grand, and I really like the Solar System part too. That's a really, really great song. But yeah, I probably will never listen to this album. So that's okay. I think that's okay. But yeah,
it's weird because we've done the 2 most intimidating releases from him on this channel, besides Crow, which should not be done in any reaction channel, unless you have no context of it and people ask you to do it, which don't ask people to do that on camera, please.
No, that'd be funny.
it'd be funny. Do this one, please. I know someone said that in our Glow Part 2 video, and I'm like, you're nuts. But yeah, I feel like you'd enjoy a lot of his Mount Erie stuff. I think Now Only, the continuation of Crow, you would really like.
Okay.
And then Dawn as well. But yeah,
Well, I do like the sequel to Dawn FM.
true. The prequel.
The prequel. But all right, we have one more album to talk about, and that is Punisher by Phoebe Bridgers.
Phoebe Bridgers. I don't know if I have too much to say about this. I feel like I've talked about this record many times on this channel, dating back to when it first came out.
Yes.
So I think all my thoughts are well documented. But I think the thing I was most interested in was like seeing if it held up in my eyes, because you can never tell when a record hits you this hard emotionally in a moment if like that's gonna wear off or if it'll like change the way you view the music going back. But I think it is just as good as it was when I was first hearing it. Of course, I'm not obsessed with it again. I've had my time with this record.
Sure.
But I think it holds up. I think, like I said at the end of the reaction, this is going to be an album that's talked about for a long time. I think it touched a lot of people when it came out, and I think it has the quality that holds up for it. I don't think anybody that has taken up this kind of style has made a better record than this since this came out. So yeah, I still think I Know the End is absolute perfect, phenomenal song. Savior Complex is a fantastic song. Moon Song hurts. Punisher hurts. Chinese Satellite's a banger. Kyoto's a banger. It's a fantastic record. I have it at a 93.
That's fair. Yeah. Yeah, this album has only grown on me. I think, shockingly, I think my least favorite songs are Garden Song and Kyoto, but I really like the slower, sadder stuff like Savior Complex and Moon Song, but also like Graceland 2 has grown on me a lot. And I was I don't even think I was lukewarm on I Know the End, but I was like, that's your favorite song? Like, that's a flawless song? Are you kidding me? I have done a complete 180.
Yeah.
That song is absolutely phenomenal. Damn near flawless. I love the build, and of course the giant climax at the end that leaves her literally voiceless is great. Flawlessly executed, just like pretty much everything else on this album. So yeah, I guess we should do Stranger in the Alps.
I'll do Stranger. It's more contemporary indie rock, indie folk. So
Okay. Well, I feel like I have to like that one if I really liked this one, because I feel like
not as consistent, but it is great.
Okay. Well, that's fine. And yeah, please come back, Phoebe. We just did a video on you, so now you're
True.
obligated.
We got to complete the cycle. We got to do Stranger, and then she'll do something.
Oh, okay. That makes sense, because we did just do I and then Bon Iver Kingdom.
Yeah. We'll
So-
even do Better Oblivion Community Center if you're still not back.
I guess.
That one's not, we don't need a reaction for that.
Okay. It's fine.
It's all right.
All right, but that is our retrospective. Those are the last 10 or so albums that we have done. Next time we will be talking about other things. I for sure. And what do we do? Kojimi Battles.
Battles the Pink Robots.
That's it.
I got it this time.
Which I'm excited for, the fun little robot album. So you have that to look forward to, and also to look forward to is everything on our lists. Yeah!
We'll definitely get to everything.
Everything that is on this list we will listen to eventually. Even Awaken My Love, which has been on my list
kills
since
me.
the beginning of the show. Eventually we
Like
will
a pity
get to
vote sometimes where it's like, okay, these have been on since the beginning. We need to do this.
Eventually. Maybe that'll be our 5-year celebration video. Highly
Been here with us
anticipated.
this whole time.
In a
Everyone be like,
way.
yeah, it was okay.
In a way, it's intrinsic to our channel's identity.
It is.
Is maybe eventually doing Awaken My Love.
Yeah.
And no other Childish Gambino album.
Nope. I mean, we've listened to like 2 or 3 of them on our own time at this
Yeah,
point. So
yeah.
that leaves because the internet and like camp, which we're not going to do camp. Camp is awful.
No, yeah, I don't think we need that. Although it would be a good bad reaction. We
It
haven't
would
done
be.
one of those.
It would be. Maybe
just-
one of the worst aged albums of all time.
Yeah, I just don't want to listen to that.
Yeah.
I like Bonfire well enough, but I don't think I could listen to a whole album of that.
All of it. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that just about does it. In terms of things to plug, we do a podcast. we recently did a video on the hit film Stalker, which has been doing surprisingly well. I don't know why, and frankly, I don't think it's a good introduction for...
I know why.
I don't get it. I feel like it's not like mainstream enough to where like most people would know about it. Like we did Blue Velvet, and Stalker is outperforming Blue Velvet, which I think is kind of odd. But what do I know? I'm a guy who has an opinion on Stalker, which you can listen to on the podcast.
If you dare.
If you dare. Or, since it's almost October, if you scare.
Ooh. Good.
Yeah.
We got to think of a Halloween album this year. I want to do a Halloween album on the channel.
Is clipping going to be out before Halloween?
I doubt it. I don't think it's going to be Halloween focused either. So,
shoot. I don't know that.
I'm going to do a scary album marathon on the podcast. So I could always pluck one of those and save it for the channel.
There you go.
Those picked out. So.
Oh, all right. You've done your research.
It took me 10 minutes. Yep, we're good.
That is a good point. I should be thinking of Halloween movies because I didn't realize how close to October we are.
Yeah, I'm not going to date this video, but it's almost here.
It's almost here. Fall has started.
Real. It's still 85 degrees out, but fall has started.
Not for long. Hopefully.
Who knows?
I don't know. But that's it. You have anything else to say?
Bye.